Welcome. My name is Ann Simpson, and I'm the Adult Services Librarian here at the Winter Park Library. Thanks for tuning in to this digital edition of Are You Sharing Fake News? Even though the election is over, fake news hasn't gone away. It's important to remain engaged and vigilant to ensure that our social media presence stays reliable. By now, I'm sure you're all familiar with the phrase fake news. It feels like fake news is a recent phenomenon thanks to the drama surrounding the 2016 presidential election and the most recent one. But fake news has been around for a long time. False stories being spread for some kind of gain can be traced back to the 1400s and the invention of the printing press, and honestly, even earlier. Thanks to social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, fake news can spread faster and farther than ever before. Before I go any further, I want to take a second to clarify what I mean when I say fake news. If you Google the phrase, you can find over 100 different definitions. For today's class, I'm going to be working with this definition from PolitiFact, which is made-up stuff masterfully manipulated to look like credible journalistic reports that are easily spread online to large audiences willing to believe the fictions and spread the word. Essentially, fake news is fake. It's untrue. The problem lies in how it's presented. Bad actors who propagate and spread fake news work hard to ensure that it looks credible and perhaps most importantly, that it feels real. Fake news spreads by getting a strong reaction out of you, which then compels you to action, sharing that post to the rest of your network. Generally speaking, there are two categories of fake news. There are a lot of different forms it can take, but almost all fake news is either misinformation or disinformation. Misinformation is false information that is spread regardless of intent to mislead. Misinformation can be incorrectly remembering something you read earlier, or it can result from a misunderstanding. It's not inherently malicious, though spreading information that's not verified can lead to problems. Disinformation, on the other hand, is deliberately misleading or biased information, manipulating narrative or facts, propaganda. In other words, disinformation is false and spread with intent to mislead and manipulate. While misinformation can make for awkward conversations or confusion, disinformation is dangerous, especially if it's allowed to spread. I'm going to cover 4 of the most common types of disinformation that you'll encounter online. Most of these you've probably already seen. Clickbait is the first one I'm going to cover, and clickbait is using an attention-grabbing but often sensationalized or inaccurate headline to generate clicks. Most websites make money from ad revenue, and each click generates more income, creating an incentive to get as many clicks as possible. As you can see in this image, these headlines are pretty interesting, but also make you think. 7 reasons this $350 home workout machine will change your life is a promise that sounds too good to be true. I took this image from the bottom of the Slate.com website, but as you can see in these highlighted areas, none of these articles are actually from Slate.com. They're all going to link me to external sites that are then going to profit off of my curiosity. I think that the best practice for dealing with clickbait is to treat it like you treat the National Enquirer and other tabloids at the checkout line at the grocery store, which is to say, ignore them. Sponsored content, aka SponCon, is advertising material designed to look organic. This is required to be labeled by law, but influencers and others can play by the letter instead of the spirit of the law. Laws are becoming more stringent about making influencers and others disclose when posts are sponsored, but it helps to keep a watchful eye. This is an Instagram post from an influencer that I follow, and it's a sponsored ad. You can tell that for a couple reasons. One, the picture here looks pretty staged, and the What Do You Meme family game is very prominently featured in the frame. Additionally, under her handle, it says paid sponsorship with What Do You Meme, which is a dead giveaway that they've paid for this post. Also, if you read the caption here, you can tell that it reads just like ad copy and not really like somebody posting about their life. Posts like this can earn the influencer a cut of the profits based on if the item they're selling sells, But they have an incentive to make it look as organic and natural as possible because they're selling their lifestyle, and if they make that look more appealing, then you're more likely to buy things from them. Not every instance of sponsored content is quite as easy to spot, but if you keep a watchful eye, you should be able to manage it just fine. False attribution is incorrectly linking people or places with words or events. The degree to which this happens can vary, and the severity of its impact varies accordingly. The quote, "well-behaved women rarely make history," is commonly attributed to Marilyn Monroe, but in fact, the phrase is, "well-behaved women seldom make history," and it was written by Professor Laurel Thatcher Ulrich, a Harvard historian and professor. It's a clever turn of phrase, and you can understand why it sounds even more appealing coming from Marilyn Monroe and not a woman that few are aware of. There is also a darker side to false attributions. This meme of Kamala Harris saying, "take the guns first, go through due process second, I like taking the guns early," was circulating on Facebook earlier this year. By placing those words next to her face and labeling the bottom Kamala Harris, it does appear as if this is a direct quote. As you can see in the second image, Facebook flagged this post as false information, but it still received over 3,000 shares. Now, take comfort in the fact that this is not what Kamala said, nor is it her position on gun control. But situations like this, with false attributions, can circulate wildly, rapidly, and spread false information that muddies the waters of political debate. Doctored content is made up of photos, videos, or other content that has been altered or doctored. This can also vary in seriousness and severity and can be hard to spot. Again, like almost everything on the internet, this can be fun, but it can also be dangerous. Do you remember this tweet? It went viral in the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey, which hit Houston, Texas a few years ago. The tweet is a picture of a shark on a highway with the text, "Believe it or not, this is a shark on the freeway in Houston, Texas. #Hurricane Harvey." I hope you didn't believe it because despite getting over 130,000 likes and 80,000 replies, this is not real. The shark is real, and it was captured by National Geographic wildlife photographer Thomas Peschek off the coast of South Africa. This particular image is a clever use of Photoshop, and while it can be embarrassing to find out that you've been tricked, the stakes in this instance aren't particularly high. Not all doctored content is so lighthearted. At first glance, it appears that these women are gleefully touting the phrase, "Make America White Again," which is racist and honestly shocking to see someone promote in public. However, their shirts actually read, "Make America Great Again," which was Donald Trump's campaign phrase in 2016. And since this image is from a 2016 Trump rally, it makes more sense. Now, being photographed with a racist phrase on your shirt can have ramifications in your personal and professional life, so this is a slightly more dangerous version of doctored content. How can you tell if something is fake news? Fake news is trying to elicit a strong, usually negative, emotion from you to prompt you to engage with and share the information. A rule of thumb I try to remember is that if something makes me go, "Oh my God, I can't believe it," I'm probably right. The next step is to ask yourself 3 questions. Who is the creator? What's the evidence? And what do other sources say? When I say who is the creator, we want to think about who made this content. Is it someone that I trust, like a newspaper or other unbiased, reputable source? Or is it a website that I've never heard of before? Is it a meme account on social media? Is it completely unattributed? The answer to these questions can often clue you in as to how trustworthy this information is. When we ask, "What's the evidence?" it means, if the headline worked and I clicked on the article, now I can look at their evidence. Did they find experts to back up their claims? How did they come by this information? If you cannot see where the information is coming from, the odds are that it's not completely reliable. And finally, when we ask, "What do other sources say?" we're really asking, can I find this story anywhere else online? Did other reputable news organizations write similar articles? Major news typically gets reported on by all major news organizations. If you can't find another article or bunch of articles to verify the information that you found, it's important to remain skeptical. It may seem a little unrealistic to ask yourself 3 or more questions for every post you see online, and it kind of is. Status updates from friends and family about birthday parties or other mundane events don't need this level of scrutiny. I typically reserve my fact-checking prowess for things that feel fishy. As you spend more time critically thinking about what you see online, your ability to determine what is or is not suspect will get more and more accurate. The 4 strategies for evaluating online information I'm going to focus on are click restraint, reverse image searching, and then fact-checking websites PolitiFact and Snopes.com. We're going to begin with click restraint. So, if you're like me, your first move when trying to find some information online is to type it into Google. Now, I trust Google more than I probably should, but I don't always trust the results I've gotten. The best way to interact with internet search results, including but not limited to Google searches, is click restraint. Click restraint just means waiting and looking at the results as a whole before clicking on any of the options. When I wanted to verify the meme about Kamala's gun quote, I typed Kamala Harris take the guns into Google and hit enter. You can see those search terms here. As we can tell from the first 3 results, people have already been fact-checking her stance on this issue. Now, we have to scroll all the way down to the bottom to find a link to a YouTube video that appears to support the quote from the meme. But if we take the results as a whole, it becomes clear that the majority opinion is that this claim is not true. This is typically the point where you can feel free to dismiss the information you saw before and move on to more interesting things. If you want to know more, feel free to click on any of the links and see what they have to say. Remember to keep asking questions about where the information is coming from and how they're proving it. Another really cool way to check what you see online is a reverse image search. Google Images now has the ability to search by picture instead of by keyword phrase. You can access that ability by clicking on the gray camera icon once you're on the Images Google page, which will allow you to search by image. You can either paste an image URL or upload an image. Since I downloaded that shark photo a few months ago when I was putting this class together, I'm going to find it in my downloads folder, and then once I click on it and hit open, it will upload and Google will automatically search for the image. Since this was a pretty popular viral image, it's not surprising that there are a number of results that were returned pretty quickly. You can see that the first result here says Hurricane Harvey, that shark photo is fake. So there's our answer. We can continue to look at the other images and results that it found, such as these visually similar images, or all of these other articles that seem to say the shark picture isn't real. Reverse image searching is a powerful tool that can be really helpful to verify information online, and it's also important to remember that seeing isn't believing. To help you verify information online, there are a number of fact-checking websites. The first one I'm going to talk about is PolitiFact. This is the PolitiFact homepage. PolitiFact was started by the Tampa Bay Times in 2007 before being acquired by the Poynter Institute, which is a nonprofit school for journalists. Their mission is to present true facts unaffected by agenda or biases. Statements and claims by politicians are rated on a scale of true to pants on fire. I'm going to click on this top story, and then we can see how they rate their claims. So, this is a tweet that claims that Raphael Warnock celebrated Fidel Castro and welcomed him to his church, and this has been rated mostly false. At the top of their explanation, they'll give you the bullet points in this "if your time is short" section, and link you directly to the sources. Otherwise, you can continue scrolling and read their full analysis to see how they arrived at their conclusion. Then, the sources are always at the bottom so that you can double-check the information they're providing you with independently. There are some other fact-checking organizations, such as factcheck.org, which is a project of the Annenberg Public Policy Center, the Washington Post fact-checker, which rates claims with a scale of Pinocchios, and OpenSecrets.org, which is run by the nonpartisan nonprofit Center for Responsive Politics and focuses on money and lobbying in the federal government. For broader fact-checking, Snopes.com is one of the oldest and most trustworthy sites. Snopes began in 1994 and focused mostly on hoaxes and urban legends. Over time, their reach has grown to encompass almost everything online, from if images are digitally altered to breaking down the text of congressional bills. If you see something online, odds are Snopes is working to figure out if it's real. Recently, I've seen some tweets about changes Taco Bell is making to their menu, and since Taco Bell is my all-time favorite fast food restaurant, I want to find out if any of my favorites are leaving. Most recently, I've seen that they're going to be taking the Mexican pizza off the menu, and while that's not a favorite of mine, I do want to know if it's real, because I know that everything I see on Twitter isn't necessarily true. So once I search for Taco Bell menu on Snopes, we can see that did Taco Bell remove its Mexican pizza menu item is the second result. If I click on that, I can find out if it's true. Unfortunately, as you can see in the rating here, under the claim, it is true. If you want to know more about the rating, you can click on the link here, or we can just scroll down to see the origin of the claim, and then some social media posts about the information. Snopes does a pretty good job of linking to their sources so that you can independently verify them, and the social media posts are really interesting because it gives you a sense of how the internet is reacting to that news. Unsurprisingly, people are pretty disappointed because it seems like Taco Bell is getting rid of some really good things, especially the quesarito, which was a real favorite of mine. So far we've covered how to double-check any story or post you see online, but there's another piece of the puzzle. Not everyone on the internet is who they claim to be. This is a recurring plotline on various crime shows, but it's also important to remember when scrolling through social media. There are a few different kinds of bad actors commonly found online: bots, trolls, and catfish. Bots are accounts that are automated or run primarily by computers. They are not necessarily bad actors. For example, I follow a Twitter account whose handle is @MomaRobot and name is MomaBot. Their bio reads, "I tweet a random object from the collection of the Museum of Modern Art 4 times a day, bought by @Backspace, not affiliated with @Museum Modern Art." As you can tell from the description of this account, it's an automated account run by an algorithm, and it's not actually affiliated with MoMA, although it does tweet images from their collection. This account is very straightforward and fun, but not every bot is as upfront or innocuous as this one, so it pays to pay attention. Trolls are social media users or accounts who sow discord and post inflammatory things online. I'm not going to show any examples of these posts because they're most commonly found in the comment section of articles and videos online, and they tend to be pretty explicit. If you see upsetting or problematic comments online, you should report them to the site that you're on. All social media sites have community guidelines that require that people behave. The ways that these rules are enforced can vary in effectiveness, but everyone needs to do their part to shut down hateful or derogatory comments online. Additionally, if you or someone you know is being harassed, you need to block the harassing account. The process for each social media platform is slightly different, but you should always be able to control who has access to your profile. Another common term is catfish, which was made famous by the MTV show of the same name and a documentary about a young man who fell in love with an imposter online. Catfish are generally understood to be accounts run by real people pretending to be other, typically more traditionally attractive people. You can use your reverse image searching skills to see where images have originated, which can help you verify people's identity online. This Facebook account attempted to friend me years ago. Do you recognize the woman in the picture? It's actress Amanda Seyfried, known for her roles in Mamma Mia and Mean Girls, among others, not a woman named Sophie Porter O'Callaghan. Not every catfish is this obvious, but it's always best to remain vigilant and use your reverse image searching skills when you have questions or doubts. When discussing fake news, the terms bot and troll can sometimes be used interchangeably. In general, trolls are accounts looking to spread discord, while bots are automated accounts. An account can be both a bot and a troll. To find out if an account is legit or not, there are a few questions you should ask yourself. Is the account tied to a person, business, or affinity group? Reverse image search the profile picture to see if it's unique or tied to other accounts. If there's no profile picture, or the profile picture is a meme, that's suspicious. Is the account name or handle normal? If the account handle on Twitter or Instagram includes a bunch of nonsense letters and numbers, it's suspicious. That's typically an automatically generated handle, which is only used by bots. On Facebook or other sites, you can also check that the name is spelled correctly. Does the account post anything personal or local? Is the account focused on retweeting or sharing other posts that are typically inflammatory in nature? Normal people, or real people, will post a variety of different things online. Updates about their lives, funny memes and videos, pictures of themselves and others, and sometimes political content that reflects their views. Bots and trolls, on the other hand, don't have fully realized lives because they're not real. As a result, they tend to post and repost general things without any personal identifying information. Bots and trolls are typically not creating new information. They're taking polarizing information or information that supports a specific viewpoint and trying to get as many eyes on it as possible. Their goal is to amplify polarizing information to sow discord, and additionally to share misleading or fake videos to muddy the waters and make thoughtful, engaging public debate based on facts as difficult as possible. If you find an account that is a malicious bot or troll, make sure you're not following it. Then report the account to the platform it's on. These accounts are a violation of every platform's terms of use. Thanks for taking part in this virtual class. I hope you learned some helpful tips and strategies for verifying information online. Please remember to stay vigilant and remain skeptical of the things you see online. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to ask us here at the library for more help discovering the truth. Good luck!